I started watching Rick and Morty right after the second season ended, and I fell in love immediately. The cast of wacky characters and cool sci fi concepts were really engaging and fun, but also had some somber moments sprinkled in. I was really eager to watch season 3, and it started off with a bang. But over time, the season fizzled out with only a couple of notable episodes, like my favorite of the entire series, the Rick Lantis Mix Up. Then season 4 came, and it was a big disappointment. Then season 5 came, and it was also a disappointment. So I told myself if season 6 was also a disappointment, I was going to stop watching the series because, truth be told, I wasn't enjoying it anymore, and the only plotline I really cared about was the evil Morty plotline, and that had basically wrapped up in the season 5 finale. So what did I think of season 6? It was great. I'm going to be honest, I like the season better than season 3. Unlike the past couple of seasons, there's only one episode I didn't like very much, and it's not because it's bad per se, it's just boring. So I'm going to give a quick review of every episode in the season, and then say my thoughts on the season overall at the end. Solar Ricks is the episode I'm going to talk about the most since there's just so much to unpack in it. So in this episode, we see Rick and Morty being rescued from what happened at the end of last season. Since portal travel isn't working anymore, Rick tries to reset it, but instead he resets everyone to their original universes. This episode is amazing and gave me hope for the season. My favorite plot of this episode is probably Rick's, where we see Rick going back to his original home and see that he had created a robot who speaks like his wife to haunt him. That's some sad stuff. Then there's Morty, who goes back to the Cronenberg dimension and meets up with his old Jerry, who is a badass, I'd just like to say. It turns out after Beth and Summer were frozen in the season 3 premiere, they died and Jerry moved on. There's some great emotional scenes with Morty and Jerry, especially the one where Morty cries because Jerry lays out the truth of how Morty didn't even treat them like people, let alone his family when he went to visit them. Finally, there's the Space Beth and Summer plot, which is the weakest part of this episode. Beth and Space Beth just argue and get eaten by a monster, and then Summer saves them and the plot is resolved. This episode also introduces Rick Prime, who is the new big bad of the series. He's the Rick who killed our Rick's family, and we get to see Rick Prime fucking with our Rick. At the end of the episode, Season 2 Jerry releases a creature called Mr. Frundles into our Rick and Morty's Earth, which he proceeds to destroy, so the whole family has to find a different dimension to live in. And it ends with the whole family burying themselves, which is a great way to show that the family has changed, and so has the show. A fresh start, as you would say. I also like how this episode tackles letting go and how to move on. Both Jerry and Rick did it the wrong way, with Jerry just pushing the pain away and Rick torturing himself. This episode is truly one of the best of the series, and a great start to Season 6. Okay, so the rest of the reviews are going to be way shorter since we're back to wacky adventures for the most part. In the episode, A Mort Well Lived, Morty's personality gets split up into 5 billion different NPCs in the video game Roy, A Life Well Lived, and we follow Rick trying to get them all out of there so Morty doesn't die. I like how much Rick cares for Morty in this episode, but he can't even say I love you, which starts a war where a lot of them die. Summer doing a Die Hard is also pretty funny. Overall, this episode's pretty great. Jesus Christ, I really hate the titles of these episodes. Some of them are really hard, like Bethic Twinstinct. What I said it perfect that time? Jesus Christ, I hate this. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Rick and Morty's weird obsession with incest. The last season had a whole plot line where there was a giant incest baby, and I was hoping the poor reception to that would stop the writers from doing it again, but nope. There's 2 incest plot lines in this season. Other than that, I think this episode is pretty good. I like the video game stuff, and I think it's really funny that Beth is so full of herself that she'll sleep with herself. It also starts the incline of Jerry's character this season, with him taking action when the best were going to erase their memories to forget about what happened, but he stops them. They really have improved Jerry this season, and I actually like him now. Night Family is one of my top 5 favorites of the entire series. It's such a cool concept with your sleeping self taking over, and the way it's shot and lit is really cool. I also really like how this episode is kinda creepy. It's just so stylistically different than anything that came before, and I really hope they try more stuff like this. Then there's the thing that this season of Rick and Morty got right. They depower Rick. He is completely useless in this episode since the night Rick disabled all his tech, so Rick can't just stop the problem with tech. The car chase scene is absolutely incredible and really well choreographed. Like, wow. This episode is fantastic. Oh boy, another incest plot. Final Desmithation is about Jerry being destined to have sex with his mom since a fortune cookie told him so. Other than that gross plot line, this episode is great. I love how they once again depower Rick since fortune cookies put the other people on an even playing field. They also show Rick and Jerry's friendship growing, and I love it. Just a fun adventure with Jerry and Rick. Jurassic Mort is my least favorite episode of this season because it's just so uninteresting. Jerry not getting recognized for his memoir is really funny, but I thought the dinosaur plot was really stupid and not in a good way. I feel like the only reason they made this episode was so the dinosaurs can close up the rift at the end, and so Rick will finally get the motivation to fix portal travel. Other than that, it's a forgettable episode. I usually don't like when Rick and Morty gets meta, but full meta Jack Rick was a really fun time. I love the self-referential 6, and Bretcon was hilarious. So was the Jesus Previously On segment. The only part I didn't like very much was Storylord. I didn't like Storylord in the Story Train episode, and I also didn't like him in this one. But in the end, this was a pretty great episode. Analyzing Piss is a pretty interesting episode. Rick going to therapy and actually getting better is pretty great. Him taking over Pissmaster's place after he killed himself to make him out as a hero so Pissmaster's daughter isn't saddened by his death is also fantastic. I know it sounds really weird and really strange, but when this show does weird concepts like this, they can really nail it. It's a really sweet gesture and shows that Rick is actually changing. Also, the Jerry and Pissmaster fight is hilarious and one of the best fights in the show. Wow, another great episode. I thought a Rick and Mortis Mort was going to be lame at the beginning because I thought it was just going to be another bland medieval plot, but it turned out pretty good. I like how the entire solar system goes to war because of Morty. Rick in this episode is really endearing with him trying to be supportive of Morty and trying to let Morty figure it out and take the lead. It's really sweet. I also love the ending where Rick pulls another vat of acid incident. Once again, another good episode of the season. The final episode of Season 6, Rictional Morpoon's Rickmas Morcation, has finally come out, and what did I think of it? It was good. A fun adventure about Morty and the President. The lightsaber always falling vertically is one of the best bits this season. At first, I was kind of mad that they made Rick a robot, but then they reveal that it only happened in the last episode, so it's a fine reveal. Rick finally including Morty into his hunt for Rick Prime is very satisfying. Just another good episode of the season. If I had to rank every episode in the season, it would go like this. Number 10, Jurassic Mort. Number 9, Bethic Twinstinct. Number 8, A Mort Well Lived. Number 7, Rictional Morpoon's Rickmas Morcation. Number 6, A Rick and Mortis Mort. Number 5, Full Metal Jack Rick. Number 4, Analyze Piss. Number 3, Final Desmithation. Number 2, Solar Ricks. And number 1, Night Family. This season of Rick and Morty was great. I love how the writers understood that they made Rick too powerful, so they created plot lines where his power won't solve the problem, or they debuff him. I also love that Jerry has become a good character. I didn't say it much, but this season is also one of the funniest. My only big gripe of the season is the incest stuff. Actually, just stop, please. In conclusion, the season had really high highs, and the quality remained high throughout the season, with only one slip up, which was only boring, not bad. I really hope that Season 7 is also great and doesn't go back to the qualities of Season 4 and 5. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and if you liked the video, please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.